Hi, I'm Mike, founder of GoodBed.com. Today we're going to be reviewing the Purple 4 mattress, which is actually one of 3 brand new mattresses that Purple has just released. And in this video, we're going to talk about some of the ways that these 3 new models differ from each other, as well as how they differ from the original Purple mattress, which of course you can still buy. But we're also going to be talking about which types of sleepers are going to be a better or worse fit for these 3 new models. So the definitive review of the Purple 4 mattress is coming up. Stick around. One of the first things you need to know about any mattress is just how soft it is. And in the case of the Purple 4, we would classify this as about a medium level of softness. Now, if you've watched our review of the original Purple mattress, you might be wondering how could a mattress that has 4 inches of that purple hyperelastic polymer grid on top of it be the same softness classification as the one that had only 2, the original? Well, the answer is that basically the taller grid does have a little bit more softness to it. You can think of it as like, what has more softness, a long blade of grass or a short blade of grass? You know, there's a little bit more like bendability the longer the blade of grass. That's sort of what happens with this top layer. So you get more softness in the very top layer of this mattress. However, what's underneath this top layer in the case of the Purple 4, and as well as the 2 and the 3, is a grid of pocketed coils. And so those are much firmer than what is below the hyperelastic grid in the original Purple mattress, which, as you recall, is a 4-inch layer of transition foam that's pretty soft. So kind of the way that all balances out is that you end up with the Purple 4 being a relatively similar feel in terms of its softness level. And I would guess that if you were looking for the firmest feel among the Purple family, you probably would find that in the Purple 2, not in the Purple original. But certainly the 3 would be a little firmer than the 4, and the 2 would be firmer than the 3. So now let's get into the details of what's actually in the new Purple 4 mattress. And as you can see here, you're looking at basically a 13-inch total mattress here with really 2 layers. So that's how we would think about it. In terms of how the 2, 3, and 4 models differ from the original Purple mattress, the biggest difference is that the bottom layer in this Purple 4 is springs, pocketed coils to be more specific, whereas in the original Purple you had effectively 2 layers of foam here on the bottom, providing the support layers of the mattress. But both of them feature on the top this hyperelastic polymer grid, which sometimes we might refer to as a gel grid or a honeycomb gel, collapsible gel columns. We've used other names for this, but Purple refers to it as a hyperelastic polymer grid. And if you haven't already watched our review of the original Purple mattress, you'll definitely want to check that out for a more in-depth discussion of the grid and why its design is even compelling for you as a sleeper. What are its unique characteristics? Specifically, it has a buckling characteristic, and that buckling actually does have benefits to you as a sleeper from the standpoint of conformance and pressure relief and spinal alignment. And it does perform a unique benefit relative to other types of mattress constructions, which we describe in much more detail in that video. So check that one out. In terms of this layer, for purposes of this video, what I most want to focus on is how it differs. The most obvious way it differs from the original Purple mattress is that the Purple 4 features a 4-inch layer of that hyperelastic polymer. This, by the way, is also the key differentiator between the Purple 2, 3, and 4. The 2 has a 2-inch layer of this, the 3 is a 3-inch, and the 4 is a 4-inch. The Purple 4 is not actually a 4-inch solid grid. It's actually comprised of 2 grids that are basically like stacked on top of each other and kind of fused together. The top one's 2.5 and the bottom one's 1.5 inches. So it does make a total of 4 inches, but the reason we point that out is because it kind of relates back to one of the characteristics we described about the grid and how it works, which gets into its characteristic of what we call non-linear resistance. Which gets a little wonky, but if you could stay with me here for a second. Nonlinear resistance basically, well, let's describe what linear resistance is, because that's what you're most familiar with. You press down on a piece of foam, and the harder, the further you get into the foam, the harder you have to press to kind of continue going further. It's like, basically put it differently, the more you push, the more it pushes back in a very linear form. The relationship between the two is very linear. Whereas with this material, it's unique because it has a nonlinear characteristic. And what gives it that nonlinear characteristic is that there's a buckling effect. So you're pressing down, it's linear, and then all of a sudden it buckles. And at that point, it actually gets a little easier to press down for a time period, just while that buckling is happening. Then again, sort of levels off again, becomes linear again. What's interesting about the two layers of gel that they've fused together here is that it actually gives you actually two of those buckling effects. In fact, you press down, you get that buckling, that nonlinear resistance, then it levels off, then you continue pressing down and you get another buckling, a second buckling, and then you get more linear after that. So it's not just that one 4-inch buckling sensation. So that I think does have some relevance to you as a sleeper that we'll get into later in the video. But first just wanted to kind of show that to you while we have the mattress open. The other thing that you may notice as you look closely at these, this hyperelastic polymer is a little bit of powder coating here, which they call the copolymer, which basically the purpose of this is just to keep this gel stuff from sticking to each other, sticking to itself when it gets collapsed. And it does that very effectively. You can see it never sticks to itself. The only thing I would really add about this powder is that relative to the original purple mattress that we reviewed 6 months ago, I do feel like there is definitely less of this powder. So it's even less of something that I would have noticed on this one relative to the original one. Now, I don't know if that's systematic across all their products and something they've changed over time, or if that's just random, but for what it's worth, we thought we'd point that out. Now, going around the perimeter of this grid, the reason you can't actually see the gel unless I stretch it up like this, is that you have a feature that's not present on the original purple mattress, which is edge support. You have a foam perimeter. It's about 3 inches thick, and it goes all the way around the whole perimeter of the mattress, and we'll show you how it does in terms of edge support later in the video. But the one thing I wanted to point out here is that you'll notice that the edge support material is actually different in the top half from the bottom half. This top half edge support that goes around the gel or the hyperelastic polymer is actually much softer than the stuff that goes around the coils. Now, this is a very typical softness level for edge support foam. This is much softer, and so. But what's interesting is that you don't feel the edge support as much because they made it match a little bit more closely the softness of the gel columns. So that's why they did it that way. And overall, I think it was an effective way to construct it. But you don't often see two different edge support softness levels in a mattress. Now below, getting to the bottom half of the mattress, below this gel grid, you do have pocketed coil unit. So that's really what's providing the bulk of the support in the mattress. And I guess the main thing I would point out about the pocketed coils is that they use a 13 3/4 gauge coil, which basically just means it's a little bit of a firmer coil. In the spectrum of pocketed coils that get used in mattresses, this would fall towards the firmer side. So that just is going to affect the overall kind of how much you sink in. Obviously, it has some effect on the support characteristics of the mattress as well. So we'll get into all that later in the video too. And then I guess the other thing I should just mention is that all the foams used in the mattress, whether in the edge support layers or in this bottom 1-inch layer, which is what the pocketed coils rest on, and as well as this 1/2-inch layer, which is what the grid is glued to, all of that is 2-pound density polyurethane foam. And all of this is wrapped in a cover, which is a polyester stretch cover. It's got real nice strength to it. It's also fairly thick and just substantive feeling. So it's a nice cover with good softness and good stretch to it. And this, by the way, is just a typical silica fire sock used in a lot of these types of mattresses. So there you have it. There's your construction of the Purple 4 mattress. So now we're going to get into the two things that everybody has to get from their mattress, which are back support and pressure relief. And we're going to try to cover these in the context of the full lineup of 4 Purple models. But I want you to just bear in mind that we've only done an in-depth review of this one, the Purple 4, and the original Purple mattress. But we do feel like we can extrapolate from those 2 reviews a pretty good idea of what the 2 and the 3 are like, based on the fact that the 2 and the 3 both share the same exact support core, the inner spring pocketed coil unit, as the Purple 4. And the Purple 2 even has the exact same layer of hyperelastic polymer grid on the top as the original Purple mattress. So this one we chose to do the in-depth review of, the Purple 4, because it's the most different from the original Purple mattress. So in terms of my personal experience on the Purple 4 mattress, I'm about 6 feet tall, not quite 200 pounds, and I'm predominantly a back sleeper. So I'm gonna just start by showing you how I look in that position. And what I found in general on this is that I was probably not collapsing anywhere near the full 4 inches. So that second layer we described earlier of buckling, I'm not activating in this position, even underneath the heaviest part of the body, which for everyone is your hips. And as a result, I think I'm probably in the back position, not necessarily fully benefiting from all the gel, the additional kind of couple inches of gel in this particular model. And in fact, I probably even felt like maybe my back was a little bit more propped up in the original Purple mattress, like just a little bit more lumbar area support perhaps in that original one. So overall, what I would think is that as a back sleeper, I might prefer either the 3 or the 2, or maybe even the original over the 4 for me as a back sleeper. And as a stomach sleeper, I would certainly echo that. I definitely felt like I didn't really want to be on my stomach very much during the night on the Purple 4. There was just a little too much give underneath my hips to feel comfortable from a spinal alignment standpoint on the 4. But what I really noticed that was most advantageous about the 4 was in the side position. And so I do spend probably the second most amount of time on my side. And I definitely felt like the pressure relief on my side was superior to the original Purple mattress. When we described the pressure relief in that original review, we said definitely is good pressure relief. But I also said that someone of my size who's got a little bit broader shoulders, you know, you're definitely collapsing that 2-inch layer of gel underneath your shoulders, at which point your kind of starts to stretch and it becomes almost like a rubber band. And then that rubber band is resting on, in the case of the original Purple mattress, a really soft layer of transition foam, which overall that combination does a nice job. But this pressure relief is even better, because what's happening here is that you can see I'm about, you know, a couple inches into the mattress or so, which means I'm definitely collapsing that top 2.5-inch layer. And that next layer of 1.5-inch hyperelastic polymer grid is just sort of starting to collapse. So it's almost like in that, like, you know, just limbo land where it's almost like just floating, it's not stretched, it's not rigid, and as a result, it's very good. It's like a floaty feeling. It's excellent pressure relief sensation, and it's actually kind of a very different pressure relief sensation than you might find on memory foam or some other types of materials. So overall, I definitely think that I get a big advantage from a pressure relief standpoint on my side on the Purple 4. So if I had to extrapolate my experience into what other people are likely to experience across these 4 models, I would think of it like this. First of all, as a category, side sleepers are going to benefit the most from having more of this hyperelastic polymer on the top of the mattress. And there's 2 reasons for that. One is the pressure relief that we described, that floaty sensation, and the other is the ability to provide proper spinal alignment in accommodating the body's curves, which tend to be greater when you're on your side. So this disproportionate benefit that side sleepers have is going to be even more true for heavier and or curvier side sleepers. So the heavier you are, the more you're going to benefit from the pressure relief advantages of having more of this on top. And the curvier you are, the more you're going to benefit from a spinal alignment standpoint, being able to still support those curves. And those curves could apply to broad shoulders. Of course, it applies to your hips. So any kind of just curvature that is required in order to keep your spine in that straight position when you're on your side. So overall, heavier and or curvier side sleepers in general benefit more, and particularly true for heavier and or curvier. If you're a lighter side sleeper, you're going to be fine on the Purple 4. I think you're just going to get less benefit from having that additional material on top. So you might find that if you're a little less curvy or a little lighter, the 3 versus the 4, you don't notice a whole lot of advantage. In fact, if you're light enough and less non-curvy enough, you might even find not such a big difference between a 2-inch layer and a 3-inch layer. So if you are a back sleeper, in the back position, the spine's curves are a little bit less pronounced. You might find that the difference between the bottom of the posterior and the top of the lumbar, is maybe a couple inches or so. In which case, a 2-inch layer of the hyperelastic polymer grid should be enough to accommodate that from a spinal alignment standpoint, which is why in my case I found that the original Purple mattress provided excellent spinal alignment for me. So in my case, I felt like back sleepers, as a back sleeper, I would prefer a little bit less of this than the 4 inches the Purple 4 provided. But overall, it wasn't necessarily a bad thing to be on the Purple 4 as a back sleeper. As a stomach sleeper, on the other hand, I definitely felt like you want kind of a lower amount of this hyperelastic grid. I think 2 inches is definitely the most you would want as a stomach sleeper. That would leave you with either the Purple 2 or the original Purple mattress, depending on how much kind of firmness and what type of responsiveness you wanted underneath. So as a heavier stomach sleeper, as an example, I would probably think that the Purple 2 is going to be the best option for you, whereas a lighter stomach sleeper could maybe just choose between the original or the Purple 2, depending on more their preferences. And I think if you are somewhere in the middle on any of these characteristics, or if you're someone who spends a lot of time in multiple positions, then I think that's where the Purple 3 comes in, because it gives you a little bit of a combination of these different choices. So for example, for someone like me, I think I can get from the Purple 3 a lot of the pressure relief benefits that I enjoyed on my side on the Purple 4, combined with a lot of the spinal alignment benefits that I enjoyed on my back in the original Purple mattress. So for someone like me who spends time between both back and side, I think the Purple 3 could potentially be a good option. So overall, that's kind of how I see the landscape of options shaping out for people in the current Purple lineup. So now we're going to get into what we call preference-based characteristics, meaning things that a mattress can be one way or another, neither of which is better or worse. It's just about your personal preference. And the first of these we call cushioning depth, which is basically the difference between sleeping more in the mattress or being kind of cradled or hugged by it versus sleeping more on the mattress and getting that kind of floaty feeling. The Purple provides an interesting kind of hybrid of these two, because particularly the Purple 4, which is what we have here, you definitely get into the mattress a little bit because there is that full 4-inch layer of the hyperelastic polymer grid, particularly if you're on your side where your weight is concentrated over a smaller surface area. You definitely get a little bit more of that deeper than average cushioning sensation, sleeping more in or being hugged or cradled by your mattress. But at the same time, when you spread out to a position like your back, where your weight is distributed more evenly across the mattress, you get a little bit more of that floaty feeling, particularly because of the way that grid feels underneath you. So it's a bit of a combination, but with the case of the Purple 4, we probably would describe it as slightly deeper than average cushioning, and I would presume that the 3 and the 2 would be medium or even shallower sensations. Now, the other thing we want to just illustrate this point with is this bowling ball here. Those of you who've watched other videos we've done, you can compare this. You can certainly see here that this bowling ball goes a little deeper than the average mattress that we've reviewed. So that's just another kind of reinforcement of that classification. The next preference-based characteristic is what we call responsiveness, which is basically the difference between that slow responding memory feel versus more of a quick responding bounce. And in the case of the Purple 4, let's start with the memory feel because we can rule that out very easily. There is no memory foam in this mattress and there is no memory feel. You can see that this material responds instantly and returns immediately to its original shape. So no memory feel. And in terms of the bounce, we generally think of that at 3 or so different levels of the mattress. We start with the surface, applying maybe 5 pounds or so of pressure to the top. Just to give you a sense of what kind of bounciness the top layers have. And in this case, for sure, there's a lot of bounciness that this hyperelastic polymer grid has. So definitely a lot of surface bounce here. Now let's switch to what we call deep bounce, where I throw my whole 200 pounds down on the mattress. And you see that there is a lot of deep bounce here. Let's try it again. So what that is those pocketed coils which are compressing and they're throwing me back up in the air. So definitely like you'd expect of an inner spring mattress, particularly one with a little bit firmer coils like this one, you have a lot of deep bounce in this mattress as well. So now let's test the what we call mid-level bounce, which we test by dropping this 16-pound bowling ball on the mattress. And I think what's unique about this one relative to other mattresses we've tested is you actually get not only a pretty big first bounce, but you get a decent sized second bounce. And what I think that is that the first bounce is kind of the combination of the grid, but also the coils contributing a lot to that big first bounce. But the second bounce I think is entirely this hyperelastic grid at the top. So you're getting both the bounce, the deep bounce and the surface bounce are kind of on display with the bowling ball here. And so overall what we'd say is top to bottom, this is definitely one of the more quick responding or bouncy mattresses that we've tested. So now we're going to get into some of the things that we call priority-based characteristics, which are things that a mattress can be better or worse at, but that may or may not be a priority for you personally. And the first of these is motion isolation, which you may know refers to what degree does the person on that side of the mattress get affected by or be disturbed by things that are happening over on this side. And we generally test this by dropping this 16-pound bowling ball on this side of the mattress. And you can see that the bowling pin does tip over when we do this. Now, what's interesting about this is not just that it tips over, it's that in every other mattress that we've tested, if the bowling pin tips over when we drop the bowling ball, it definitely tips over when I drop my full 200 pounds down onto the mattress, which in this case, it does not tip over. I can do that, and in fact, it doesn't even move that much at all. Now, to understand why this would be, you have to understand how motion transfer generally works in mattresses. And the most common sort of classic bad motion isolation situation comes from the old school inner spring mattress with the connected coil unit, where you jump down on one side and the person on the other side kind of flies up in the air like a circus act. Now, in the case of this mattress, it's got a pocketed coil spring construction, which basically means that the coils move independently. So the coils over here, when I sit down on the mattress, they compress, but the ones underneath the bowling pin totally do not move. They're able to sort of just completely stay stable. So in that respect, the motion isolation on this mattress is excellent. What's causing the bowling pin to fall when the bowling ball drops on it is something related to what's happening in the top part of the mattress, which is a different type of motion transfer that's not nearly as jarring. It's more of a surface vibration type of motion transfer. And what's happening is basically that vibrations are being transferred. I can actually just demonstrate it here by creating vibrations over here, which make the bowling pin shake. You're gonna have to just take my word for it that that's not something that you can do on an ordinary, say, all foam mattress. And basically, those vibrations transfer almost like they would in a rubber band. you should also check out our review of the original Purple mattress, where we did a much more in-depth demo of this to demonstrate this point. But basically, that's the reason why the bowling pin tips over, is the vibration. So when we drop the bowling ball, it comes down with a lot more velocity, which creates vibrations and knocks the bowling pin over due to the vibration transfer. But when I drop my body down, the 200 pounds obviously has a lot more mass, comes down with a lot more force, but because I'm only coming from this distance, it has a lot less velocity, which creates less vibration, and therefore it doesn't create the vibration transfer that caused the bowling pin to tip over with the bowling ball. So on balance, what we would say is that the motion isolation in this mattress is certainly good, but it's not the best. Another important criteria for some people is the ease of repositioning, and so we just wanted to quickly show you that this is not something that we expect is going to be an issue for really anyone on the Purple 4 mattress. The quick responding surface and springs underneath definitely make it easy to move around on this mattress, so you're definitely not going to get any of that stuck in the mud type feeling on the Purple 4. Another important criteria for some people is edge support, so we always take a look at this in our reviews. And we did mention it in our review of the original Purple mattress that this was not necessarily a strength of that mattress, as is often the case for mattresses that use foam in their support layers. But this is definitely an area that they've really bolstered with all of their new models. And we did show you how it has the 3-inch foam perimeter going around the entire mattress to give it added edge support. So we wanted to show you what that looks like. And basically what you can see here is it certainly looks much improved, and you see much less of a dip here as I sit on the edge. You do still see some dip here, and that's going to correspond to what we showed you in the materials section of the review, where the perimeter going around the grid is actually a softer foam than the perimeter going around the coils. So most of the dip that you're seeing here is happening in that along the grid perimeter. And but what I want to point out about that is that although it may not look as good as maybe some inner spring mattresses that have excellent edge support, it does feel totally stable to me. And I actually also think that that was an important and necessary thing to do, because it makes the edge support feel more seamless. You don't really notice it. It kind of just naturally blends the feel of the mattress, where you only notice the edge support when you need it and you don't notice it when you don't. So I think that was still a good design choice that they made there. And I'm just going to show it to you while I lay on the mattress to kind of illustrate the point that it is still very effective at its job. I can lay right on the edge of the mattress and I feel totally stable in this position as well. And to the extent that you see any kind of dip here in this position, it's only because the mattress is conforming to my curves. It's not because I am, slipping off the edge. So overall, I would definitely say this mattress has very good edge support. Another important criteria for some people is temperature, or a concern about overheating while they sleep. And this is an area that I think is a real strength of really all the new Purple models, the 2, 3, and 4, because they've replaced the foam support layers with spring supports. And what that does is it introduces the opportunity for much more airflow up and down through really the entire mattress. And the reason that's important is that airflow allows the heat that's created by your body during the night to travel away from your body instead of being trapped up close to your body. And it also allows cooler air to travel, towards your body, so that air just can circulate through the mattress. And that's probably the number one criteria we look at when we think about sort of temperature regulating properties of a mattress. So not only can the air in this case travel through the springs, but it can also travel, of course, up and down through those, through that hyperelastic polymer grid. Now, the one sort of caveat to that would be that, of course, when the grid is collapsed or buckled underneath you, then obviously air is not able to travel through it in that state. So to the extent that on, say, a 2-inch grid layer, you're going to have more portions of the grid that are buckled and therefore not allowing air to travel through them, you're probably going to get not quite as good airflow on, say, a 2-inch grid as you would on, say, a 4-inch grid. But that would be a more subtle distinction overall. The second general point I would make about the temperature properties of this mattress would be about that hyperelastic polymer material, which which does have a very sort of gel-like consistency in that it has a conductive quality to it, allowing heat to sort of travel through it and away from your body. It also has, like gel or like water, another conductor, a sort of general coolness to the touch. Think of how if you put your fingers into a bowl of like room temperature water, it has sort of a cool feeling. Even though it's room temperature, it feels cooler. That's that conductive property. Well, this material has a little bit of that same property as well. So overall, we would definitely say that temperature is one of those things. It's hard to anticipate how any one person's going to react to a given mattress, and people certainly vary intrinsically on this characteristic. But overall, we don't think that the Purple 4 or its new siblings, the 3 and the 2, are ones that are likely to be mattresses you're likely to have an issue with temperature on. One thing that's important to some people is the degree of natural materials in the mattress, or maybe more so, just the lack of harmful chemicals. And with regards to the Purple 4, or really any of its siblings, the company makes no claims about this being a natural mattress in any way. That being said, we do think that there are some things about this mattress that can give you some comfort on this front. The first of which is that relative to the original Purple mattress, most of the foam in the mattress is replaced in this case with coils, which is good from this standpoint in the sense that steel is a material that really doesn't even have the potential to off-gas at all. The second thing is that the small amount of foam that is used in this mattress is certified to the CertiPure standard. And likewise, all 5 sides of the cover that you can actually see, as well as the fire sock underneath it, are certified to the OEKO-TEX standard. Now, both CertiPure and OEKO-TEX are standards that look for the presence of and off-gassing of various harmful materials and certify that neither are present beyond some minimally acceptable threshold. Now, the last point we would make on this is that as far as the hyperelastic polymer layer goes, the company says that it is food grade. So what that means is that basically if you're comfortable sleeping next to a plastic fork or a sandwich bag, in terms of whatever off-gassing those are going to have, this would be similar. That material would have a similar amount of that. So overall, we definitely feel like these are some things that can give you a lot of reassurance on this front. One thing we get asked about more and more these days is adjustable base compatibility. So we wanted to make sure to show you the Purple 4 mattress on an adjustable base in a fully elevated position so you can see exactly what it looks like. Now, when we think about adjustable base compatibility, we always think about 3 things. Number one is it going to damage the mattress in any way to use it on an adjustable base? And in this case, the answer is definitely no. Purple themselves released their own adjustable base not long before they came out with these 3 new models. So most certainly these models were made with adjustable base compatibility in mind. Number 2 is how well does it conform to the curves of the base? And in this case, you can see that in this area underneath where I'm sitting, it conforms very well. And in fact, even when I get off the mattress, it still continues to conform and hold its shape, no problem, with very little gap, which sometimes can happen. It doesn't spring up at all when you get off the mattress. The second thing you may notice, though, is in the front, the foot of the mattress isn't conforming exactly to the foot of the base. That's totally normal. When a mattress is new in particular, we would expect that conforming would change and improve over time as you use it on an adjustable base. Obviously, we've not had a chance to use this very much at this point. So this is what you're seeing is pretty much what it's like when it's brand new. The last point we would look at is, does anything weird happen when you put it on an adjustable base? And in this case, we look for things like, bowing of the edge support foam, things like that. I'm not detecting anything like that. We look for kind of clumping or lumping of the cover fabric. In this case, the cover fabric has a little bit of thickness, but not so much that any kind of clumping is like really something you're going to feel, particularly with this pressure relieving purple material underneath. It's very good at, even if you sat on your keys, you probably would barely feel it, let alone a little bit of clumped up soft cover. So that's really a non-factor. So overall, we would say nothing weird happens when you bend this, even in a fully articulated position like this. So All in all, we would definitely say that this mattress is very adjustable base compatible. Two things that are always going to be important when you're buying a mattress, particularly when you're buying one online, are delivery and return policy. In the case of delivery, the Purple 4 actually comes with free white glove delivery, which means that they will not only bring it to your doorstep the way they do the original Purple mattress, they will even bring it all the way into your bedroom and set it up for you, and also remove the packaging when they're done. And that's a really handy service because this is a heavy mattress. It weighs 160 to 170 pounds in a queen size. So definitely good to have that free white glove delivery. In terms of the return policy, Purple offers, in our view, a very generous return policy, albeit very consistent with other online mattress companies. They offer you 100 nights, during which time you can return the mattress for any reason for a full refund. So overall, we definitely think that those are two things that can give you some extra reassurance in giving this mattress a try. One thing that's important to just about every mattress shopper is value. And when we think about value, we always think about how much does it cost, what's in it, and how long do we think it's going to last. In terms of the cost, the current price of the Purple 4 mattress is $27.99 in a queen size. And what you're getting for that is a 13-inch mattress with what we would describe as honeycomb gel over pocketed coil construction. Honeycomb gel being a little bit more of a generic term for what they call the hyperelastic polymer. In terms of how long we think it's going to last, if you've watched other reviews we've done, this is a section where you often hear us talk about foam densities. And in the case of this mattress, we would say that there really isn't enough foam in this mattress for those densities to be a critical factor here. That being said, we would point out that there is a ½ inch of foam in between the hyperelastic polymer and the coils, as well as 1 inch of foam all the way down at the very bottom of the mattress, both of which are 2-pound density foams, which we think is more than adequate for the function that they're serving in the mattress. So that leaves you with the pocketed coils, which are a firmer pocketed coil, and that is a mattress component that is very time tested. So and proven to be durable. So we would say that that's not a component that gives us a lot of concern as it relates to longevity. And then you have finally that 4-inch layer of hyperelastic polymer at the top, which certainly relative to all the components in this mattress is by far the least proven. But what I would say about that layer is that from everything I've been able to learn about it, as well as my own firsthand experience interacting with it, it feels pretty indestructible to me. I just sort of have a hard time envisioning a scenario where this material loses its resiliency to the point where it becomes a problem for you on this mattress. So overall, I don't see a weak link in this mattress, and thus would conclude that this is a mattress that is built to last. So in terms of the overall value of this mattress, I think we would have to look at the various products in the Purple lineup as one comparison. And you'd say the way they've priced this, the original Purple starts at $9.99. Then you add $600 to get to the Purple 2, $600 to get to the Purple 3, and another $600 to get to the Purple 4, which leaves you with $1,800 in total difference between this Purple 4 and the original Purple mattress. Even if you were to focus on the difference between the Purple 4 and the Purple 2, which is a $1,200 difference for two products, the only difference between them of which is 2 inches of this hyperelastic polymer. And you were to compare that to the price of the original Purple mattress, which contains 2 inches of that hyperelastic polymer and costs only $9.99, and also comes with the entire rest of the mattress, as well as the delivery of it and so forth. You certainly couldn't call this a screaming value. That being said, I do think that there is value that you get as you step up through this line. We talked about in this video the value you get by stepping up from the original to the 2, where you add the pocketed coils, which certainly gives you a firmer underlying support, as well as much improved edge support and most likely better longevity prospects. And then as you add more of this hyperelastic polymer, I do think that the benefits you get are not necessarily linear. In other words, it's not like you could say that twice as much of this material was worth exactly twice as much. We talked about in this video how much the pressure relief is improved on the 4 versus on the original that we tested. And some of the other benefits would be things that are a little bit less tangible. But if I had to use an analogy, the best analogy I can come up with is, let's say you could lie on grass and have that grass actually support you where you didn't actually touch the ground underneath. And you were laying on 2-inch grass. Well, that would be one sensation where you'd be like settling into it mostly. It would kind of conform to you. It would feel pretty cool. But now compare that to the ability to lie on blades of grass that are 4 inches tall. And what you end up with is like just a sensation where you're floating just that much further off the ground, which gives you just that much more of that kind of floating sensation, which is a very kind of tranquilizing type of sensation. It's kind of hard to describe, but it is very soothing and relaxing. In addition to having those pressure relieving benefits. So all that kind of in a nutshell, I think, is to say that the value here I really do think is going to come down to the individual and what you prioritize. And so that's kind of all I can do in terms of characterizing the overall value of the Purple 4 mattress. So just to summarize some of the things we've covered in this video, Purple is a mattress company that started by introducing a very unique and innovative product to the mattress industry. And we believe that this is a very impressive follow-up to that original product in that it offers some very distinct and unique benefits and improvements to that original product. Albeit at a significant increase in price. We talked about how if you are a lighter back sleeper or a less curvy and lighter side sleeper, you may not benefit necessarily from all of the additional inches of hyperelastic polymer that you find in the Purple 4. We talked about how the people who will benefit most from this will be side sleepers in general, but particularly heavier and or curvier side sleepers. And we also talked about how stomach sleepers, as one example, might be a category of people who might prefer actually less of this material, like the 2 inches as opposed to the 4 inches. We also talked about how if you're looking for a mattress that has a whole lot of that slow responding memory feel, you're really not going to get any of that on this mattress. By contrast, what you will get is a mattress that has a lot of bounce, both deep bounce as well as sort of a surface bounce to it. Likewise, we talked about how this is a mattress that has solid edge support. We talked about how it has excellent pressure relief. And we talked about how it offers a very unique blend. We characterize it as a medium level of softness, but in certain positions it's going to feel softer, in other positions it might feel firmer to you. So it's a really unique feel. And I guess if I'm summarizing this product overall, I would have to use the word unique. We look at a lot of mattresses doing what we do, and it's rare that you find products that truly are unique in this industry, and this would certainly be one of those products, including relative to the original Purple mattress. So overall, I would say that if the criteria and considerations that we described in this video sound like a good match for you, then we definitely think that the Purple 4 mattress is one that you should consider. So we hope you found this video helpful in determining whether the Purple 4 mattress or its siblings are the right mattress for you. But But if you're still not sure, we'd recommend that you go to GoodBed.com and take our mattress match quiz, which you can find right up in the header of any page of our website. Because this quiz will walk you through all of the same criteria and considerations that we described in this video, and ultimately will show you mattresses both online as well as in the local stores in your area that match your personal needs and preferences. So we really think that this is a helpful and unique tool that you ought to take advantage of. But in the meantime, we thank you for watching and we really hope you sleep well.